Good morning. Happy New Year and welcome to a New Year's Day edition of To The Point podcast. As always, I'm your host, Noah Warren, and Happy New Year to everybody listening. I hope you all had a safe New Year's Eve. I know for myself, I watched Team Canada dominate Team Finland and finally put in a 60 minutes that I can be proud about. Also some good games yesterday. Last night, the United States took care of business, finishing first in Group B. So I'll just touch on a big thing here at the beginning. I predicted at the start of the tournament that Canada and the United States would play in the gold medal game. They're on track to do that. They both finished first in their groups. So if they both win their quarterfinal and semifinal games, they will go to the gold medal game and face each other. They cannot face each other before then. So I'm halfway there. Obviously there's some key games that both teams have to win to get there, but both teams have looked dominant so far in the tournament, and I don't see a major roadblock for either team in getting to the gold medal game. Let's start about talking about Canada. Yeah, last night's game, the biggest game of the preliminary round for sure. Canada coming in not really facing a ton of tough competition. First off, beating Germany 16-2. Germany was obviously a depleted roster with COVID-19 issues, really only having one line of pure offense with Tim Stützle, John-Jason Peterka, and Florian Elias. And they dismantled Germany 16-2 in really an embarrassing fashion. Germany coming off a back-to-back as well. They faced Slovakia in their second game, and it wasn't a pretty game for Canada. Slovakia basically played the trap, the old New Jersey style of play, and Tampa Bay more recently with when Guy Boucher was the head coach. They didn't let Canada really get any chances in front of the net or home plate opportunities, as TSN used that statistic last night. And Canada ended up winning 3-1 with an empty netter, but it wasn't a game I think they should be overly proud of. They were sloppy, and just coming in after the game, I didn't have a great feeling. Then they played the Swiss, beat them 10-0. Again, I didn't think it was an impressive game whatsoever. And I heard a lot of people I talked to saying, "Oh, Canada finally looked the part." They didn't look the part to me. They beat a really bad team, and you beat them 10-0. I don't prop up teams that beat up really bad teams when you should. If you're a good team and you beat a bad team, well, you did what you were supposed to do. I'm not giving you a gold medal for beating a team with no NHL draft picks, limited talent, and just really nothing to show for it anywhere else on the ice. So that's just how I viewed that. But last night, it's a huge game. Finland's 3-0. They're on a back-to-back, coming off beating Slovakia 6-0 the day before. They've looked good in the tournament so far. Good goaltending from Kari Pirinen, Anton Lundell. Their captain's been stellar. Brad Lambert, a player I've raved about on the podcast before, 17-year-old. He should go high in the draft. He's been a really stellar offensive player for them. Really smart instincts. What I really like to watch him play is on the half wall. He just, on the power play, when he's on that half wall, he can really see plays. They scored a goal against Slovakia where he just held the puck, and he found a player, got a stick on the ice, tipped it home. Just patience with the puck. And I think you see that so little with younger players. They're frantic to get rid of it. And that could be because somebody's coming after them, or just because, they feel like they have to get rid of the puck. When you have time, hold on to the puck. And Brad Lambert, for a kid with such a young age, is just showing such maturity with the puck. And I think you really got to be excited about the future for him. But those are a couple. Ville Heinola, their defenseman's another good player, a first-round pick of the Winnipeg Jets, 19th overall. He's really been their anchor on the back end. So coming in, they've had some good performances, and they really haven't been tested. So like Canada, they're coming in pretty green when it comes to facing stiff competition. But last night, Canada played a 60-minute, I'd say they played a 50-minute dominant hockey game. And it wasn't even close. The first 50 minutes of the game, Finland couldn't they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know if they were playing hockey or not. It wasn't even, it was so it was so, they were so overmatched. They didn't know what the hell they were doing out there. Um, it started off just the first shift. You could tell that Canada was on. They were attacking their defensemen. If Finnish wingers got the puck on the boards, Canada were winning puck battles. I think you could point to Jack Quinn, even Alex Newhook, who was injured in the game. But his first shift, he goes behind the net, kind of throws a reverse hit, and gets the puck from the defenseman, creates an offensive opportunity. These are the type of plays we saw all game. Peyton Krebs, who won player of the game, had a hell of a game, just overworking and just making the Finnish players look like they shouldn't even be playing in the tournament. And it was just Canada's work ethic for the whole game that really stood out. It wasn't about skill last night. A lot of their goals weren't beautiful goals. It was about getting to those dirty areas that you have to win. And that was the key last night. But the first period, Canada played with great pace. Finland, I wrote down sloppy, but I'm thinking about it overnight. I don't think they were as sloppy as Canada was aggressive. Finland would get the puck and Canada wouldn't let them do anything with it. They couldn't complete a pass because the Canadian forwards were on them like stink on a monkey. I mean, it was really impressive. In the first period, shots were 17-1 in favor of Canada. And the only shot Finland got was really a dump in, and they count those as it bounced on the goalie, so that's a shot. But offensive zone time, Finland didn't have any. They didn't draw any penalties. They didn't do anything to be a threat. Canada did find the back of the net once. A beautiful play by Dylan Cozens, taking the puck from a Finland defender at the blue line, comes down on a 3-on-1. He keeps the puck, shoots it, buries it back of the net. This is just another thing that Dylan Cozens does. I mentioned Jack Quinn and Peyton Krebs, but Dylan Cozens is a player that can bury and score really nice goals, but that's not the antithesis of Dylan Cozens. The antithesis of Dylan Cozens is work ethic, defensively minded, and just playing the game correctly. And I thought he was good in last year's tournament. I think he's pretty, if he's not the best player at this tournament so far, he's right there. Trevor Zegras for the Americans has been fantastic. Vasily Podkolzin has really looked great in his past two performances as well for the Russians. But Cozens is just so consistent for Canada. That was his 5th goal of the tournament and his 10th point. And he makes plays every time he's on the ice. And the only negatives in the first period really of the game for Canada were their power play. They're 0 for 1 in the first period. That theme persisted. Their power play is a concern. They went 0 for 4 for the game. I really don't like their power play. I don't know what they're doing to teach it because it's really stagnant. It hasn't improved in any of the games. People I talk to about hockey the most are my parents. And me and my mother, I love my mother, but we disagree on sports a ton. I'll admit she's a lot nicer than me, so she's a lot easier on people than me. But, she's like, well, the power play is starting to gel. And I'm like, no, they played Switzerland. And then we kind of got into an argument about it. But it's, we saw them play a good team in Finland, and they did nothing with their power play. They got, they can get opportunities, but if you don't score in a power play, then what are opportunities? That's like saying, oh, well, I got 9 shots. Well, did any of them go in? Well, no. Well, okay. Did you win the game? No, but I got 9 shots. So what did that result in? Nothing. I think the Dolphins Vegas game a couple weeks ago, Ryan Fitzpatrick came in the game. Well, if he comes in the game, throws for 200 and they lose, what did it mean? Nothing. It's empty calories. It's chump change. It's worth nothing. So Canada's power play has to improve. I think they got to, if they're going to beat the United States, possibly the Russians in a semifinal, they need to play better hockey. And I think they can, but it's that power play is something they really need to work on. Their 5-on-5 game, if they play like they did against Finland, they'll have no problem against any team in this tournament. So like I mentioned, 17-1 shots in the first period. Finland they didn't know what they were doing, if they were playing hockey, what was going on. Only negative of the first period was Alex Newhook was injured. And I think he's a really important player to this team. He's been one of the players that has stand out every game. He didn't play a lot against Switzerland, so I don't know if he had an injury before and he's kind of been nursing it. But he got stood up at the Finland blue line by a big defender. You see the way he was hit, his shoulder dropped right away. They haven't announced if he's going to play tomorrow in the quarterfinal or not. It didn't look great to me, and that would be a huge loss for them. Already with Kirby Dach out, Newhook, he's a key centerman for the team, and I just think he provides an offensive spark, but also just a work ethic that can be contagious to other players on the team. Second period, just a couple key headlines before I talk about the goals. McMichael, Cousins, and Holloway are just a dominant line for Canada. We saw them play a lot in the second period together. Their lines are broken up a little bit just to try to find more offense, but they're fast, physical, dynamic. McMichael is the least physical of the line, but he's the most dangerous offensively. He's got that wrist shot. I think he can score from anywhere on the ice. He's a really dangerous player. He's also dynamic in the fact that he can find great passing lanes. And I just think Dylan Holloway, who's playing at Boston College, he's just kind of the grunt work of that line. And he'll get to the front of the net. He's not afraid to engage physically. He'll win puck battles for Team Canada. And he's really impressed me in this tournament. In this tournament, you can see a lot of skill, but I think the players that show an ability to buy into a game that they're not accustomed to playing have the best chance of at achieving at the next level. And Holloway, I think of Newhook as players that have kind of showed me that, they don't have to be the top scorer here because they're not going to be, but, they've showed that they're not afraid to adapt a new piece to their game. And that bodes well at the next level because odds are that they're not going to be the best player on their team. So to do that here is really impressive to me. Second period, Canada's just winning every battle again. Like, it was another dominant period. I mentioned the first period was just pure dominance. The second was just as dominant. Finland's just second on pucks. Canada, if Finland does get the puck, they don't let Finland breathe. If Canada swarms them, they don't let them breathe. They take pucks from them. Just for reference, 13 minutes left in the second. The shots were 22-2 in favor of Canada. And Canada was just firing pucks and Kari Pirinen. Credit to him because he had a hell of a game. He was basically on alert the whole game, and he had to be sharp. But after about the midway point in the second period, we saw an offensive face-off where Dylan Cousins, Dylan Holloway, and Jakob Pelletier were on the ice together. It was after a power play, so they were kind of on there just as a mixed match line. But we see them break out of their own zone, go down the ice. Pelletier takes a shot, hits off Holloway's shin pad, back of the net, 2-0 Canada. They did the right thing because it started in their own zone. They won the face-off. They got a clean breakout, and then they got pressure. And we saw Pelletier and Cousins both go to the net, which is something they need to do, get bodies in front of there. And it worked out for Canada in that sense. And then about 3 minutes later, again, a shift where Canada just has consistent pressure. The Finland defenders are just dead tired. They can't get the puck out of their zone to save their life. Byram let out a shot from the point. Yeah, it rebounded to Peyton Krebs, and he tapped it in for an easy garbage goal to make it 3-0. Krebs, I mentioned him on a podcast before the tournament. I'm a huge fan, and I'm becoming more of a fan at this tournament. He's just a hard worker, and I think he can have a top end skill at the next level. I don't think that's what they want from him here. Andre Tourigny's kind of asked him to adapt his game a little bit, but he's played fantastic. He's another player, him and a Jack Quinn, a Cousins. They really work hard, and they don't. In this game, we really saw what they can do when they're playing at their best. Finland just didn't know what the hell was hitting them in this game, and it was good to see Canada really play the way they can and the way they should if they're going to win a gold medal here in the 2021 World Juniors. Yeah, after the second, it's 3-0. TSN let out a statistic: high quality scoring chances after the second period, 23-0 in favor of Canada, and that's like home plate opportunities. So in the close to the blue crease in front of the goalie, just dead center shot opportunities. Finland just was not getting to those areas. After two, shots were 35-7 in favor of Canada, and it looked as though the game would be on cruise control for Canada to win. And it was, but it wasn't. I thought the third period, Finland finally woke up. I don't know if it's because they just weren't prepared to play or they were tired from playing the day before, but we hadn't seen Finland wake up. And about maybe 15 minutes left in the third period, they showed that they had some fight, they have some life in them, and we saw Cousins take an ozone tripping penalty in the third period. Really his only mistake of the game. He didn't do anything wrong other than before that. And Brad Lambert, who I mentioned before, scores a power play goal, makes it 3-1. And Finland, they had one power play opportunity. They go 1-for-1. Canada had 4. They're 0-for-4. That's the only negative I can really point at this game, because Canada did everything well. I guess the one thing I can say is they didn't take many penalties because Finland didn't have the puck, so that's a positive. But they drew 4. You need to score on those. This game ended up being 4-1. It shouldn't have been 4-1. It should have been 6-7-1 really, and a good goaltending. But that power play made it closer. In the game, Connor McMichael, I mentioned him earlier, just being an offensive threat. 3 posts / crossbars for the game, so he was all around it. He was close to bearing it. I think he still has another level to his game, which I hope he can bring out, in the quarterfinal, semifinal gold medal game. But he's got more to bring here, and I think he will as we go along here. Like I said, the last 10 minutes, Finland played better than Canada in the last 10 minutes. I would say they played better than Canada in the third period. Canada just kind of, I don't know if they ran out of gas or they just kind of, they weren't interested anymore, but Canada got a little sloppy. But we did see Devon Levi have to make some important saves. And I thought that was important too. Obviously 7 shots through 2 periods. He wasn't tested. But in the third period, he was solid. He had to make some key saves late in the game. One went off the post, but he was great for Canada when he had to be. And Finland, I would say, was game ready in the third period. They just brought that forecheck that I'd seen before. Their players, they have some big forwards that are not afraid to wear down the opposing team's defensemen. Thomas Harley and Bowen Byram both had some bad turnovers in the third period that led to scoring opportunities. So it was tight, but Dylan Cousins finished off the night. He outworked one defenseman, then outworked the second defenseman, had an empty net, and made it 4-1. Just for this goal, it was basically he was at his defensive blue line. He basically throws stiff arms the player, gets the puck, going for the puck. Another defenseman's there before him, so it looks like he shouldn't get it. But he outworks him too, fires at an empty net. His 11th point, 6th goal of the tournament. At the time, he was leading the tournament in points. And just a phenomenal effort from him through the first 4 games. He's clearly the leader of this team, the heart and soul. And I have all the time in the world for Dylan Cousins. And really, Dylan Cousins, John Jason Peterka of Team Germany, Jack Quinn for Team Canada as well, all Buffalo Sabres draft picks. I think they got some good players here. So things could be turning around for Buffalo. I'm not saying this year, but they got some good picks that are showing themselves here at the World Juniors, and could be a huge part of their future moving forward with Jack Eichel, Taylor Hall, and whoever else they can add to that complementary of elite talent. So 4-1 final. Shots are 40-19 in favor of Canada. A really good win. They finished the preliminary round 4-0. They win Group A, and you really can't I really can't say too many bad things. I mentioned, for Finland, they weren't ready to play. And, Anton Lundell, their captain, he had a goal in every game, 6 points coming into the game. He was a ghost. You could have told me he didn't dress and I wouldn't have fought you on it. He's got to be better for them if they're going to advance deep in this tournament. And he's a big guy, really great hands around the net, but Finland couldn't get to those areas, and he wasn't a factor at all in this game. So after Canada's game, we saw the United States defeat Sweden. They chased Hugo Unfelt from the net, 4 goals, 2 really bad goals. USA took the lead 2-0 in the first 5 minutes, both from goals that should never go in. Helleson shot the puck from the corner, went off the goalie's pad and in. Terrible goal. 2 minutes later, Trevor Zegras just was on the half wall, turned around and just fired the puck at the net. And, Unfelt didn't cover his crease, beats him shoulder high, 2-0. And really, Sweden had lost a lot of momentum and I think a lot of heart in the game because they just didn't have the momentum the rest of the night. They lost 4-0. Jesper Wallstedt came in for Sweden. He had to finish the game making 17 shots. I suspect he'll be their starter in the quarterfinals, but it's a big shift for Sweden, losing 2 in a row after not having lost a game in the preliminary round since 2006, 54 straight. So they're heading into the medal round with 2 straight defeats. Obviously a tough pill for them, but United States have been led by Trevor Zegras. He's been fantastic for them. He's got 12 points, one more than Dylan Cousins, to have the tournament lead in scoring. We've also seen Cole Caulfield be dangerous. He hasn't played his best hockey yet. Montreal Canadiens draft pick. I think he's still got a lot more to give. He's dangerous, but he just hasn't been a key factor for them yet. A player to watch for Team USA is Arthur Kaliev. He's just a goal scorer, playing for the Hamilton Bulldogs in the OHL. He's ferocious. He's got a great shot. He can get to the net, and he's just a goal scorer. USA's got, I thought surprising last night, Dustin Wolf had started a game, got a shutout for them in a previous game, but they started Spencer Knight. He was chased in his first start against Russia after 4 goals, but they turned back to him last night. He made 27 saves, got a shutout against Team Sweden. And with that performance, I suspect he'll be starting their quarterfinal game. But an interesting decision. I think he's the better goalie, but sometimes you ride the hot hand. But good on Team USA for going back to the goalie they had faith in before the tournament and letting him show that he can find his game. It might just take him a little while. So they win Group B, like I said. So this is how it shook out. In Group A, Canada finished first, Finland second, Germany third, Slovakia fourth. In Group B, it was the United States, the Russians, the Team Sweden, and then Team Czech Republic. So Canada will play the Czech Republic Saturday at 8 o'clock. United States will play Slovakia at 11:30. Germany will play Russia at 1 in the afternoon. And then before Canada, we'll see Finland and Sweden play at 4:30. So four quarterfinal games on Saturday, all on the same ice surface in Edmonton in the bubble. For Canada, the Czechs, they defeated the Russians 2-0, so an upset in the preliminary round. But they play a similar trap system to Slovakia, so that could be problematic for Canada. They got Marek Malik's son in net for them for Team Czech Republic. But they just don't do enough offensively to scare you. So I don't think Canada is going to have any problem with them. Musik's a good player for them. They got Jan Mysak, who's a threat. Michael Tepley is another player to watch, number 11. You'll see him because he just shoots the puck every time he gets it. He's a threat to score, but they obviously can't beat Canada going skill for skill, but they're playing teams where you got to take a couple of chances. And I think for them to have a chance, they're going to have to adapt their game plan a little bit because they just don't have enough. I don't think they can defend well enough against Canada for a full 60 minutes to pick up a win. United States, Slovakia, I think that's another easy win for the United States. a point night for Trevor Zegras and co. United States have just been dominant so far. Obviously losing to Russia, but after that, the game against Sweden last night was really impressive. It wasn't even close, and they beat the Czech Republic 7-0 in the preliminary round. They've looked the part, and I suspect that they'll cruise into the semifinal. Then the two other matchups, Germany Russia is intriguing to me. Now this game could easily be a blowout for Russia. Easily could. I think we've seen Askarov. I think he's played really good hockey since the opener. Against Sweden, he led in 3 goals, but he played great in the game, made some key saves for them early to keep them in it. But Germany has really one line that can score, but if that line can catch fire, you never know. Tim Stützle is third in the tournament in points. He's got 10. Peterka's tied with him with 10, John Jason Peterka and Florian Elias. They play on one line, but they're third, fourth, and fifth in their tournament in scoring. In their last game against the Swiss, they each had 5 points. That line will have to carry them, but if they can get solid goaltending, you never know how it's going to shake out. Like I said, I don't suspect that the Germans are going to beat the Russians. I don't think they will, but I think it'll be a tight game just because Tim Stützle has looked so fantastic in this tournament, so dynamic, so fun to watch. When he gets the puck, it's must-see TV, and he's a player that you got to keep your eye on because you never know when he's going to pop up in your screen or when he's going to put one in the back of the net. For Russia, I said Askarov's been playing great. We've also seen Vasily Podkolzin and Rodion Amirov, the first-round pick of the Toronto Maple Leafs, really start to wake up. They started playing good hockey, and that's something that they need to do if they're going to win. Those two players need to be key cogs in their winning machine. So they need to keep that up. Hamadulin, their defenseman, he's been fantastic for them. And I think Russia just plays a good structure, but don't be surprised to see this one come down to the wire. I think it could be a third period going into it, a 1-2 goal game where it could be interesting. The fourth game, Finland-Sweden, though. This is the one that's hardest to predict for me. Finland comes in playing a rough game against Canada. Sweden's lost 2 in a row, but against tough competition and the Russians in the United States. I think I'm gonna pick. I think Sweden's gonna go to Jesper Wallstedt just because Hugo Onefelt, the first-round pick of the Tampa Bay Lightning, has been looked awful against the United States. 2 really terrible goals from bad angles, and I don't think you can go back to him confidently. Wallstedt played against the Russians, and he stopped all 17 shots last night in relief. So I go back to Wallstedt, see what he can do for you. It's a dangerous game. Pirnanen played great for Finland last night. If Finland can wake up offensively a little bit, Lucas Raymond, Alexander Holtz, I think. Holtz has been a dangerous player, but he hasn't been able to find the back of the net. He had 9. I mentioned the 9 shots thing. He had 9 shots against the Russians. None went in. So empty calories, good for you for getting 9 shots on net, but you need a couple to go behind the goalie. Philip Broberg, Sweden's captain, just hasn't looked right either. I don't know if he's nursing an injury or if he's just having a really bad tournament, but he hasn't played good hockey for them. So I think I'm going to take the Finns in a nail biter. I think this one's a 1-goal game. Come down to the wire. I think it'll probably be the game of the day. Finland just has a knack of winning these medal round games. They've won, 3 gold medals since 2014, and their population is under 5.5 million people, which when you think about it, it's pretty friggin' impressive. I don't think they have the talent that they've had in previous years when they won gold medals, but they still have that work ethic and that, winning mentality, those intangibles. I think Finland has that right now. They're riding a wave of success at the World Juniors. So I think Anton Lundell will have a better game for them. They'll move on to the semifinal, and we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, I think Canada wins easy. United States win easy. Russia wins a close game against Germany, and then Finland wins possibly like an overtime game against Sweden. 1-goal game, come down to the wire. But yeah, that ends our preliminary round. I mean, 4 games on Saturday, or 4 games tomorrow. Sorry, I couldn't be more excited for that. 4 games right back to back to back. It's great coach day. Also some college football bowl games mixed in there. So that's basically my Saturday. I got that pegged coaching. You know, me and Dirk, my little dash hound, just she can run around, chase some toys, and I'll be writing notes about the World Juniors. Some other news, just in sports, Dolphins quarterback or backup quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday, so he's out for this weekend's game against the Buffalo Bills. It's a must-win for Miami to get into the playoffs. Tua Tagovailoa, their first-round pick, 5th overall in the 2020 draft, what is going to start even if Fitzpatrick didn't have COVID, but we saw him come in relief against the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think he would have been used in this game because I think Miami needs him to win it. So I think I have less and less confidence that Miami is going to beat Buffalo in Buffalo. Fitzpatrick used to play for the Bills. He's used to playing in cold weather. He knows how to play in these situations. And I think it's going to be very tough on Tagovailoa. But one thing, you can listen to my podcast tomorrow that I recorded it yesterday. It'll be dropping tomorrow with Adam Beers. He kind of wrote off Tua, and I disagree with him completely. Tua's had a mixed review first season in the NFL. But there's been a lot of great players that have had mixed reviews for first year. There's been players who have had great first years and then turned into complete busts. Troy Aikman looked like a player that couldn't play in the NFL in his first year. Peyton Manning was god awful in his first year. We see this year, Chargers quarterback, he's playing great. Does that mean he's going to be great for years to come? We don't know. It's all up in the air. I mean, I think it's tough to predict what's going to happen with Tua, but to write him off after 1 year, I think is a complete mistake. He hasn't had, they didn't have off-season programs. He didn't have a training camp where he could, play preseason games and learn. He's been thrown into the fire, and it's time. Some players got to wait. Aaron Rodgers sat 3 years on the bench. Tom Brady sat almost 2 years on the bench. I'm not saying Tua is going to be the face of the NFL, but to write a guy off after 1 year, I think is just completely unfair. People do that enough in sports where they just say, "Oh, this player's a bust." Saying a guy's a bust. Okay, Dwayne Haskins just got cut by the Washington football team. He's a bust for the Washington as a first-round pick because he couldn't play and he didn't care enough about his career to think about the long-term consequences. Tua's showing up to work. He's playing decent football. He's won more games than he's lost in this league so far. So they're playing against the Bills and battling for the Bills. If they lose the game this weekend, they're 10-6. It's not like they're going to finish 7-9 like the Cowboys if they win their division. So you got to give players time to develop. Not everybody's going to come into the league and just, run it like Patrick Mahomes. That's not the trajectory of quarterbacks. And, I think you just got to give these players time to develop, time to learn. And often it happens a lot that players don't get that opportunity. And I think that's something that's on coaching more than it is on the player. The Rams are also dealing with a ton of issues. They're starting John Wolford, their backup quarterback, who hasn't taken a snap in the NFL. Jared Goff had thumb surgery. He's out for this weekend. Cooper Kupp, their top wide receiver, is on the COVID-19 list. He's out. They're without Michael Brockers, one of the best pass rushers who's on the COVID-19 list. They're without Darrell Henderson, who's out with an injury, their top running back, and Cam Akers may not play, their second string running back. So the Rams are in a game against the Cardinals where if the Cardinals win, they're in the playoffs. And if the Bears beat the Packers and Rams lose, they'll miss the playoffs. So it's a big, big weekend for the Rams, and it's a terrible time for them to have COVID issues and also injury problems where wins need to come at a premium right now. And it's going to be very difficult for them to do that. Also, before we wrap up today, I'll circle back to hockey. Zdeno Chara has signed with the Washington Capitals. Boston said they wanted to play their younger players more, and that he'd probably be a seventh, eighth defenseman. Be a healthy scratch for them. He played 14 years in Boston, all as their captain. His number 33 will be in the rafters when he's retired. He'll be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But just thinking about it, it didn't sit well with me, the way they did that to him. He's given a lot to that franchise, and he can still play. Fit six defenseman, he can still play. You can say the cliche is, oh, he's not what he used to be. Well, no shit. He's 43 years old. He's not going to be what he used to be. Tom Brady isn't what he used to be. Newsflash. So, but to say he can't play anymore, okay. He's not Ron Hainsey. Like, Ron Hainsey's 38. He hasn't been able to play for 3 years, but he's still in the league. So should Chara's run? Yeah, I think Boston. I understand. I get it, but they're playing Clifton and Jeremy Lauzon, who players that I have more faith in Zdeno Chara, and they're in a window right now where if they don't win this year, maybe next year, they're not going to win for a while because Patrice Bergeron is on the back end of his career. David Krejci's on the back end of his career. Tuukka Rask is as flaky as it gets in net. Who the hell knows what he's thinking? He quits the bubble. He might, just say, "Oh, I'm done here in a minute." Like he's the ultimate guy that'll quit on a hockey team because that's what he did last year. It's Boston. I would have kept him for one more year. Pay him. He got $795,000 in Washington. It's not like he got a 2-year deal, a 2-year commitment. He would have taken the 1-year deal to stay in Boston where he loves it. But for Washington, interesting for them. They play Boston 8 times this year, so that should be a really fun matchup to watch. And I'm a big Z fan, so I wish him all the best. And see him and Ovi be on the same team, I think would be really cool. And check out the Twitter posts of TJ Oshie and Tom Wilson. Obviously, Tom Wilson and Zdeno Chara fought, I think, 3 times in their career. And now Washington, I think, has the 2 toughest players in the NHL on one team. So I know the NHL has gotten a lot softer in the past years, but look out because these 2 will fuck you up in a major way. But yeah, great game last night for Canada. As I mentioned off the top, they're moving on to play Czech Republic Saturday night, 8:00. You can guarantee I'll be tuned into that one. I'll be breaking it down Sunday morning before the for the NFL action. Talk about the quarterfinal Saturday. But have a great New Year's Day. Happy holidays. Take care, and we'll talk soon.